Just start off with what's it like being in South Africa for the start of the season?
Yeah, it's been really good. Weather's been very kind to us. Sun's out. It's not too hot, and we had a little bit of wind yesterday, but it's been really nice. There's a little bit of rain back home, so it's been nice to get out here and get some sun on the boys' backs.
Starting the season in South Africa, how different is that?
Yeah, it's very different. I don't think. I'm happy to be corrected, but I don't think we've opened our seasons since the South Africans have been in the competition out here. Obviously, part of it was strategic as we thought we were going to be going into St. Helens at Christmas time, but obviously there's been a shift there. Obviously, we didn't want to have any home games at the start of the year, potentially then, which gave us, a nice flourish in the second half. But unfortunately, things out of our control haven't allowed that. So what it means now is it's just a great opportunity to get away as a group at the end of your pre-season, connect with each other. Obviously, boys will miss home and loved ones, but it's also a good opportunity to get to know your rugby family as well. And it's certainly proved that boys are in good spirits and enjoying each other's company, and also working very hard.
The South African internationals are away at the moment, but the squads you're still playing are still very strong. Is there any good time to go to South Africa? Is this the time?
Oh, look, the South African teams are always strong. Whether there's international contingent there, whether they've got young talented players coming through, whether they've got experienced Curry Cup players coming in. There's one of the strengths of South African rugby, perhaps arguably the biggest strength is their depth. They've got a lot of depth in all positions, and they love their rugby. And whatever South African team you play, and it's the Bulls this week, you're in for a very strong opposition.
What are you expecting from the Bulls? And at their home ground as well, which is obviously quite infamous as well. They've got quite a layer there, haven't they?
Yeah, it's the usual things that, without being too cliche, but they're obviously going to be very, very aggressive, very powerful around the ball carry and around the defensive side of the game. Their set piece is always very strong. And, they are one of the most effective teams from a collision point of view in the competition, often at the top. So we know that that will be front and foremost. Regardless of who's coaching the Bulls. That's their DNA. And then what they have got is they've got individuals who can obviously add to that. They can expose the space that physicality creates. And obviously with a new coach coming in, already we can see, Johan's touch on the team around them trying to move the ball more, a few more passes before contact, in contact. So you can obviously see that layering of coach coming out into the players as well.
There's a lot going on in Welsh rugby at the moment. Mark, is it nice to be away, perhaps a little bit away, rather than being at home at the moment in terms of all the uncertainty, should we say?
What's going on? I haven't heard anything. We've been out here. Yeah, look, there's always lots going on. Positive, sometimes not so positive. And I think the one thing I've learned probably over time, and one of the reasons why my hair is receding, as Richard Kelly tells me on a regular basis, is there's usually something that's that's pretty close to home that we have to deal with. But I think what it does do, it develops some resilience in your staff and in your players. And I can't compliment the group enough around how they've managed to separate those two things at the right times. Try to remain focused on the job in hand and actually control the things that we can control as rugby coaches and rugby players and staff. So, but I'd be lying to you if I said that there weren't moments where it infiltrates you, and certain individuals are human beings, and there's times where your mind does drift into the what if scenario. But look, on the large part, I think the players have been superb, and the staff likewise.
And as a leader of the on the field group, Mark, how have you coped with it? If everybody's coming to you to have a word, I mean, obviously you're not making the decisions, but you've got to look after these players and coaches, haven't you?
Yeah,
How are you coping with that?
I suppose you'd have to ask the staff and the players really of how they think I've dealt with it. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas, do they? So I've tried to do it in an honest and upfront way. I've tried not to walk past the things that need addressing, and try to sort of give as much clarity as I can from what I know and be honest with people. Sometimes being honest is not always what people want to hear, but I think everybody deserves to know the truth as much as of it as and I've tried to approach it that way. And then I've also tried to to compartmentalize the situations where actually we don't need to think about it. We need to think about rugby, and we need to think about our job and what my individual job is as a coach versus the player's job. And there'll be time to reflect on things that are worrying, but there'll be times where we have to put the team first as well, and we have to put the badge first so that we give the team the best possible way of getting off to a good start in the URC.
Just one of the biggest cheers I was told at the supporters meeting was the suggestion that Jack Morgan only wants to play for the Ospreys and will consider leaving Welsh rugby if he doesn't. Is that a mark of the man, your sort of leader, and the commitment he has to your region?
Yeah, look, if Jack is a hell of a he's got a hell of a lot of integrity. He's a very honest lad, and he loves the Ospreys. And he hasn't said that to me officially, but if he has, then it just shows how much he loves his teammates, and it shows how much he loves the Ospreys. And I think he's got to be commended for that if he said it. So yeah, Welsh rugby and the Ospreys would love to have Jack in this team for many years. The team will be better for it, and we're just hoping we can get him back out on the field for the Ospreys this season and playing his best rugby, and we can enjoy what he got to offer.
Just the housekeeping, Mark, because I don't think I've asked you this. Is Jack still your captain this season in terms of the whole regional captain? Have you decided on that role so far?
Yeah, I have, and we've announced it to the squad. Actually, gave Jack. He didn't come and travel with us initially because he's been traveling a lot this summer, and I just wanted to keep him at home for a little bit longer around his family. He's been jetting around the world and played an incredible amount of minutes last year. So he actually hasn't arrived with us yet. He's due to fly out Friday, tomorrow actually. Sorry. We've announced it to the squad. He was happy for me to announce it. We were hoping he was going to be here before I announced it to be at in the meeting with me. But we've announced it, and Derry Lake is gonna sort of VC him in that role and support him and step in if needed at certain points, like he will this weekend. Derry will captain the team this weekend, and those two together have done it before. They're a great complement for each other. They're a great yin and yang, and yeah, look, we've got a great experienced leadership group in behind those guys as well. So yeah, very fortunate around that to have two guys like that with the support behind them.
Lovely. And final one for me. Derry and all the Welsh internationals all around, available this weekend, or are you staggering them in? How are you doing them?
Yeah, we it's a little bit of there's very much an individual approach because taking into consideration last season, the injuries that some of the players picked up last season and have carried into the pre-season, and also how many minutes they played in the summer as well for Wales. We've got a staggered approach. It's a very, very long season. I've got good intellect around the S&C department here around what good physical preparation looks like for the boys and to try to set them up to succeed. And anybody that's had any niggles or we feel, could do with an extra week or two of training, then we've tried our best to allow that to happen. And obviously, we're not able to do that in all the positions. We've had quite a few niggly injuries that have either continued on from last season or we've picked up in pre-season. So some of those boys are having to go a bit earlier than planned, but we've identified them as players that are safe to do so, and we think it's not going to hinder them by doing so. So there's a mixed approach, and you'll see that in our selection. But I also think it's good as well to stagger a few boys in because it brings fresh energy as well and fresh quality. On rotation as well sometimes, so you get a little bit of a lift as well. Bringing those some fresher guys in.
Thanks, Mark. Good luck for the weekend.
No problem. Thanks for speaking to me.
Hi, Mark. Simon here. How are you, man?
Hi, Si. How are you?
Good, thank you. We had Daniel in before you, and he always comes across as a very positive character. I would imagine he must be a pleasure to work with.
Oh, he's an absolute pleasure. I think it's my sort of third season or so working with Dan on an intermittent basis, but it's the first time we've had him in from the get-go in terms of pre-season, and he's often come to us after a Curry Cup flurry of fixtures, and his work ethic and his durability have been tremendous. But to get our hands on him in pre-season and work with him and settle him into the group, he's had a really good influence with the group. He's got an incredibly dry sense of humor. He's a witty guy. So he brings good energy to the group, but he's also got a really good temperament with the younger guys. He's a very experienced guy, Dan. He's in his late 20s now, but He's had such a positive influence to the team. His skill set suits the URC. He's deadly with the ball in hand. He's very good in the air, as everybody knows. Defensively, he's an absolute workhorse, and he's just a great character. So yeah, he really adds. For the younger players, they're sort of he's really developing those guys, those Harry Houstons and the like. The Estin Hopkins is, he's really complementing what we've got, around our back three.
At this time of year, Mark, we always wonder which kind of youngsters might come through and make a name for themselves in the new season. Have you got a couple of young, fresh faces you're particularly excited about this year?
No, I think there's a lot of exciting youngsters in the group. I don't think it would be right for me to highlight any particular ones because I know, the usual suspects always crop up. But I just really pleased to see the boys go. As I mentioned to you earlier, we do have some of the more traditional boys injured at the moment, and clearly when from a depth perspective, you don't want to see that. But what it does do is it gives an opportunity for others, doesn't it? It allows others to step in and see if they can rise to those levels of the guys that are not in there. So, as a coach, you want all your players available all of the time, fit and healthy. But the world doesn't work like that. So, what I'm keen to see is the guys that get an opportunity, see how they go, see how they rise to the challenge. I think they've got more than the capability to do so. And when we bring those more experienced guys back around it, hopefully I'll have a bit of a headache selection wise on who should play.
Good stuff. Go well this weekend. All the best.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hi there. Sorry, I can't see you. How are you? Is Ben, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Trust me, you don't want to see me, so it's fine.
That voice is infamous.
Yeah, the Radnisher twang's gone a bit now, isn't it? But
not really.
In terms of injuries, what's the latest on Ryan Smith? Where's he?
He is not travelled with us. He's back in Llandarcy and he's at the end of his rehab. So he was probably about a week away from travelling with us. So, ultimately the news is positive. We're hopefully going to see him in the sort of maybe round 4 and 5 if all goes well. Because obviously, whilst we're away, he's going to struggle to get a lot of the volume in that we need, team on team, because obviously the team's out here. So that'll probably hold him back for a week. But I'm hoping that we'll be back around selection week 4 and 5, which will be great for us. He's coming off the back of a long season in Super Rugby anyway, so I don't think the break will have done him any good. I just think because he's had a couple of niggles, it's stopped him from being involved in training. So he's got a bit of catch-up work to do around cohesion, around how we play, the line out. Just getting comfortable with his teammates, really. That's the bit he's missed. So yeah, it's disappointing, especially when you're somebody like Adam Beard goes out of your environment. You bring a guy like Ryan in, and I'm really excited to see him go and get into the team. But look, we've got 3 or 4 good locks out here at the moment that are going to get the first opportunity. So I'm sure they're going to make it as hard as they can for him to get back in the team.
I was going to say it's a good opportunity for the likes of Husa and James Ratty, Fender, to really nail down a sort of marker this early in the season now, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the one thing we've really spoken around is there's just the opportunity. There's an opportunity to do a lot of things on this trip. From, as I mentioned earlier, just to get tight as a group, to get to know each other, bone deep as opposed to, superficial. There's an opportunity to get better as a unit, as a forward unit, as a backs and forwards unit. And ultimately, when we start playing games, that's when we can really start to test what we need to get after in terms of polishing and stuff that we need to really get stuck into in terms of improving, and the stuff probably more importantly that's going really well for us and just building off that. So there's a lot of things playing the games will help us with. We need games. We haven't had many pre-season games, so actually the early rounds are going to be important for us to grow our game. That it's a long season, and what I'm looking for really in the first couple of rounds is for the boys to show what we're about in terms of our intent with the ball, but also without the ball, the effort stuff, some of our, our defensive strength, and obviously we want our set piece to shine through as well. So I'm not asking for much, am I? But I'm just keen to see where we are, and then I trust the people in the building to either enhance if things are going well to keep that going, and also if we're if we need an area of growth, then I trust the people in the room to get it done over the next few months.
In terms of the other new recruits, I imagine Ross is raring to go.
Yeah, he's very keen to get out there, Ross, which is fantastic. He's got such good energy about him. He really cares. You can see already he really cares. He talks with passion. You know, we want Ross to be a leader, but ultimately we want Ross just to deliver what he's good at. Don't want him to be anything other than what he's good at. Want him to lead with the ball in hand with his collision game. We want him to, to set his feet in defence and make an impact there and really, show us what he's about. And actually, he's a very, very good line-up forward as well. So we're looking forward to see him, get into that area and really help keep our DNA strong around that area. So yeah, we're really keen to see Ross in the team. And obviously, the more he plays, the more settled he'll get.
Given the way sort of last year unfolded in terms of stepping up to the job earlier than expected, how important was this summer in terms of stamping your mark on this team? Obviously, there was a Wales tour of Japan, there was interim jobs flying around, I imagine there was opportunities, but in terms of being here and getting your first pre-season under your belt, how important was that for you?
That was really important. I felt obliged to be in the Ospreys environment in pre-season. They gave me an opportunity when I came back from Worcester. Really enjoyed my time as the defence coach, and then obviously to feel that the group, I would be a good leader for the group. In terms of rugby, that was a really big honour, and there was a lot of speculation, like you say, around interim jobs, etc. But for me, it was never in question. I really wanted to be in pre-season. I wanted to be there on day one, and I wanted to be visible for the players and try and really maximise the best that I can out of the players and the staff, because it's the start of a journey. It's an exciting journey, and I'm looking forward to getting into this season. And hopefully the team's performances towards the end of the season, whilst they weren't perfect, I think we grew in a lot of areas of our game. I think we were a good team to watch. I think we were a dangerous team. I think that without the ball, we were a handful for opposition. I think the challenge for us is consistency in those performances and making sure that we can repeat to a high level all the time. And it's a tough thing to do. It's well documented that the region's budgets are low, and the result of that is it's just depth. So that you have to give opportunity to young players, which I feel passionate about, but I also feel passionate about setting those young players up to succeed, putting them out there, with experienced players, so that you give them an opportunity to actually show their points of difference. And I'm hoping that we can just keep a healthy squad, and we can keep that experience around these young players, because I really believe that they'll come through and flourish if we set them up well, and that's the challenge. And I think this season I just want to take another step forward in that consistency. I know the players are keen to play the brand that I'm encouraging them to do, and they feel passionate about it. And actually, a lot of the way we're going to play has been dictated by the players. They've owned what they want the team to look like, and I want to be able to help them bring that to life. And then hopefully our supporters will love that as well. So it's a combined approach. And as I say, we want people to look at the team and be proud of the way they're playing, the effort they're putting in, and how they're connecting with each other. I want the opposition players and opposition fans and our own fans, more importantly, to look at our team and go, I just love the way they play and their attitude towards the game. And I think if we can do that, I think the results will take care of themselves.
I mean, given all the uncertainty, nobody really wants to be predicting where teams are going to end up. But did you see enough in the back end of last season to be confident that you can make that step up back towards the top 8?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And an answer, yes. I think we're a team that if we play to our potential, we can win 9 or 10 games. That's what it takes. History tells you. And I think we won 10 when we made the playoffs. I think we won 7 or 8 with some bonus points when we didn't quite make it last year. And so the margins are fine. And I think, we've got the potential in the room. It's a case of making sure we can get our best mix of players out all the time, and try to then develop those younger players at certain points as well, so that when the international boys are not with us, or they're away, that the other boys have had enough minutes and have got enough exposure at the URC level to be able to step into their boots. And that's the challenge all the time. But in terms of, can we? Yes, we can, without a shadow of a doubt.
And finally, how's the man with the blue scrum cap settling into the coaching box? It's a strange one heading into a season without him lacing up his boots.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been in the box yet, so he's, that's the key. We've been sat together watching the Exeter game, and the rest of the time, really, we've been on the field because they've been training games. So he hasn't actually been in the pressure cooker yet of URC one. But look, he was very, very good emotionally controlled when he was a player. So you'd imagine that those skill sets transfer as a coach. He's got a really good way around him. He doesn't get too emotional around things, which I think as a coach is really important because all the emotions on the field and the whole idea of being up in the stand, if you like, or in the box, as you put it, is that you're giving a cool, calm, uh, satellite view of the game, not an in the middle of it emotional view, because the players have already got that view. They don't need that view. So, yeah, he will bring a nice mix, I think, to the box. And it's a start of a journey for Tips. He's gonna just become so much a better coach over time, without giving myself too much of a compliment. But if I was to pay myself any type of compliment, I would say I'm a hell of a lot better coach now than when I started, which should be the case. And he's going to look back, hopefully in 10 or 15 years' time, and go, yeah, I've learned so much, and I think he will. He's got an appetite. His work ethic's really good. He's got a really good way of presenting to the players. And yeah, he started really well. I suppose a long answer to your question, but he started really well, and I'm sure he'll grow over the coming years.